Hi, everyone. So, welcome again to Laqwanda's Heart. I am Laqwanda, and you are again with the live stream wellness series. So, we are here tonight with MoLove. Hi, Mo.
Hi.
So, we are going to give just a couple of minutes for people to come on and for people to get into the chat. And then we're going to get started probably in about 3 or 4 minutes. And then we're going to get started probably in about 3 or 4 minutes. I can hear
I know. I just
your playback.
I don't know how to. I'm trying. I'm trying to turn it off.
I can hear your
I know. I just
your playback.
I don't know. Okay, there it is.
So there's an ad that's playing that everyone is getting through. So we're going to get started shortly. Hey, Tarshell. Tarshell is always on. She was our first guest for our series. And as you know, I like to start on time and end on time. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I don't want to delay us too late because we are starting late in the evening. Again, my name is Laqwanda. I am the creator of Laqwanda's Heart, and this week we have for our live stream wellness series Miss Mo Love. She is the CEO of MoLove Made It LLC. She is an educator. She is an artist. She is an advocate and she is a dear friend of mine. Just a brief story about Mo. Mo is literally two stories about Mo. I was in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta. Um, One, she remembers this. I was in Atlanta and I got stood up by someone and I was headed to the airport. No, it wasn't before I was headed to the airport. Mo drove 3 hours. 3 hours, not for us to hang out in the streets of Atlanta, but for us to hang out at the airport together. And but that shows the type of heart that she has. And also, um, when the last time I was hospitalized, I had nothing with me. And when I'm talking about my psychiatric hospitalization in 2017, and I call Mo, and Mo tells me, and I say, hey, I need stuff because I'm in this hospital, and Mo literally, without, second guessing or whatever, asks me what I need, and comes up to the hospital and she actually, was the first person and the only person who has ever visited me while I was in the psych hospital. And we sat on my bed and we talked, and it made me feel like it was just I was natural. Like I was a person who was sick and someone was coming to make sure that I was okay. So when I say that I am ecstatic to have Mo join us tonight, I am super, super ecstatic. And so, Mo, I want to go ahead and have you share some things about who you are with our guest tonight. So go ahead, Miss MoLove.
Hi, I'm MoLove. Like she said, I'm that friend that shows up for anything. I'm down for with anything. So I'm an artist, a poet, an advocate, but I'm really there to help people. My whole platform is to make sure that people get back to their better selves. So just in her story alone, if that's what she needed, and that's the support she needed to just really be there for people and support them. I guess I'd be defined as a life coach. I'm just a person that helps you through a portion of your life. I can't coach you through your whole life. That's a whole lot of coaching. I don't know if there's a bill chart for that, but I do help people start focusing back on who they are and getting back to who they want to be. And sometimes that's harder to see from their perspective when you're in the mess. So when I'm standing on the outside saying, here, I'm here to support you, but I'm also here to guide you into what you see for yourself and where you're going. So that's what I do on a regular.
So I think you're heading us right into your topic. When I was asking you, what it is tonight that you wanted to bring forth, what did you want to speak about? You let me know that you wanted to talk about the concept of getting back to self. Why did that resonate with you? And how do you see the concept of getting back to self unfold?
So it resonates with me because it's the last portion of a self help workbook that I've been working on that hopefully I'll be releasing this summer. And it's the last topic of getting back to self. So a lot of times in our lives, whatever we're doing, we lose ourselves, whether it be in work and family and all the things that we're doing, especially as women. We give ourselves to other people and we become those people that kind of just, okay, whatever. Or I'll just eat it because you're eating it, or I'll just do it because you're doing it. And you really lose yourself in the midst of it. So just always talking to people, especially now when the weather's breaking, the season is changing, and you're feeling in that better mood of, I can do it, I can do whatever, but you don't really have your guidance of where to go. You need to get back to the self that you've always wanted to be, or you see yourself in your head that nobody else really talks about, or you don't talk to people because it doesn't fit in the schedule of your everyday.
So when we're looking at, this whole getting back to self, do you find that people have difficulty in identifying who they are in the first place?
Yes, definitely. That's a huge issue with a lot of people is that they don't even know. I mean, there was a movie, I think it was Runaway Bride, where the guy asked her, what kind of eggs do you like? And she always ate the eggs that whoever she was with ate. So that's kind of a thing where people never really had the what I want to be or who I want to be. They just did whatever they were told or went in the path of whatever. So getting back to self may be your first time ever being yourself or being the person you want to be, or even getting the chance to explore through, the different selves you've had in your mind.
I have to say that right there. Let's unpack that. It's where it's the first time where you are actually identifying who you are, because we're going through these misconceptions or these ideas of who we thought we were going to be. I've been in the field of mental health for 13 years, and I knew 13 years later that I was going to be a therapist 13 years later. But that ended so quickly for me that was not who I was to become. And I found myself trying to identify who I was meant to be because I had thought that I had finally figured it out. And I'm thinking like a lot of us get to a point where we feel like we figured it out and then life changes that. And that experience happened for me. So I struggled. I remember struggling for 3 solid years in trying to identify who is Laqwanda now. Who are you now? And so if there's someone in that space, where life has gotten them to a particular point to where they're questioning and they're asking, who am I now? What are the steps? What is it that they should be moving towards? Because those are scary times. I was terrified. I was
Mm.
terrified because I thought I had it all together. And so when you're in that space, how do you get past that fear of finding out who you are?
So that's a huge, huge issue, especially people in their anything above 25, because you get your 20s to kind of mess up and figure it out. But when you start hitting those 30s and 40s and you think you're supposed to be where you were, I mean, me pushing 40 now, I just had it. I knew at 15 what I was going to be at 30, what my hair was going to look like, what my house was going to look like, what it all was. And when none of that happened, I'm like I had a meltdown behind it. What am I supposed to do now? When I was in the 5th grade, I told them I was going to be a motivational speaker. Well, she said, "What are you going to speak about?" I said, "I don't know." So she told me I was going to be a teacher. So I fought being a teacher, kicking and screaming. And, now that I'm a teacher, I'm like, I'm not supposed to do this. This wasn't where I was supposed to be. I did it because at the end of the day, I lost hope in all the things. So lots of times people go back and refigure it out. You could have. So if you look at my resume, you say, "Mo, you had so many jobs." I did all the things I've ever wanted to do. And that's a fear factor for people. People get a good job, they start paying their bills, the bills be on time. And so they get comfortable where they are, not realizing you had 7 other goals. You wanted to be all these other people, and you never picked up and did that because now that you're adulting, you can't. So just being able to move in small steps, baby steps, get a weekend job, do it on the sidelines, just try it out here or there to just kind of feel out all those things that you wanted to be and being able to do them in baby steps. Nobody says quit your job, backpack across the country and become who you want to be. Nobody says, just go pick up and starting an LLC does not cost that much. You want to start this little mini business, claim it on your taxes as yourself. It's way simple to do that, but you don't have to make it your all, your everything, but be what you're passionate about because it's how you live longer. It's how you stay longer as a person. If you're not passionate and happy about what you're doing, then you're dying anyway. So you have to really focus on what are the things that made me happy? What used to make me happy? When people pick jobs, the first thing you should say is, what did I like doing as a hobby? Do I want to do this full time or do I just want to do it here and there? So there's a lot of questions in the book that will just kind of talk you through asking yourself these things. It's a workbook. You can do one thing, you can do everything, but it's really you figuring you out and these just kind of being guiding paths that get you there.
I think when we talk about this whole concept of getting back to ourselves, one thing, we understood that sometimes we just don't know who we are, and we haven't taken the time to learn who we are. And the next thing is, having this fear of moving forward. And I love the way that you put it, because I found myself in that position before I started this series again. Before I started this series, it's like, okay, you get this job, and this job is allowing you to adult. You're paying your bills, you're doing, things that you're supposed to do as an adult. But then I forgot that there's other goals that I have on my list. I forgot that I actually like connecting with people on YouTube. I forgot that I actually enjoy, speaking. I forgot that I enjoy creating things myself and being at the helm of projects and things that are going on. I forgot those things about me because there was this little box over here that I've checked off. And not only did I say that was a big deal, but everyone around me was like, that's a big deal. Congratulations. That is the accomplishment.
Yeah,
And
and then sorry.
go ahead, Mom.
Yeah, and then there's that other fear of being judged or the perception of, like, one thing people always ask me, "Oh, you've had this job for a whole year now, or are you still with the same thing?" Like, so that judgment fear of, like, you're not going to stay consistent with anything. But I am consistent. or stayed too consistent into two consistent paths: hospitality and education, the goals of helping people. So that's what I've stayed consistent. But do I stay consistent in one spot, someplace that doesn't make me happy, someplace that doesn't let me feel like I'm growing? No, but people often do, because they feel judged, or they feel like somebody's going to say something if they walk away, or they lose their stability, where instead of just building their grounding to say, this is the change that I'm going to make, let me work on this change. Find the next job before you quit the first one, but definitely continue moving to your growth patterns. Even if you're taking online classes, or picking up some of those free things where you can kind of build on your craft or what you enjoy. Again, that's not jumping out of the window on something, but it's definitely taking your mind off of, I'm stressed out, I'm upset about something, I'm whatever, because you're not being your true you, or who you want to be. And you're not even working towards that, because I don't have time, and the kids this, and the people this, and the everything that's going on with you. But what you really need to focus is, if you're passionate about it, if you care about it, carve out those little bit of times right before bed. Carve out those times in the midst of whatever you're doing, or something on your weekend where you say, this is my me time. And that's the first step to most people, is not giving themselves the right amount of time to focus on themselves.
So it's a couple of jewels thrown in there. So let's go on the one that you ended with, is the carving out the time. For me in particular, and Tarshiel is saying exactly, you can move around and still be in your purpose. And that is so true. That is so true, because people will think, oh, you're just bouncing from one thing to the next. Because I am the master of ideas. I will come to someone, I say, hey, what do you think about this? And then it's a couple of people who have permission to go, hold on, Laqwanda. But then it's all in line of what that master checklist. And not everybody knows my master checklist. That's why people think you're confused, because they don't know what's going on in their life, in your life, and they don't need to know. Not everybody needs to be at the table of your purpose. And so when I was like, okay, let me do this, let me do this, let me do this. And I started to operate in that. And I started to do more things off that list of stuff that really resonated in me. I found joy again, because I was finding that reflection of myself. And I think it's so important for us to say that we can find ourselves, lose ourselves, and have to find ourselves again. And that is a process that I went through. Is I had lost myself, lost myself as a therapist, found myself as an advocate, got caught up and lost myself again, and rediscovering now, like, okay, how can I do this again, and overcoming the fears of being sick again, or do I have the energy to do this? Can I really pull this off? Will people really support me? Overcoming those things, and then getting to this point. Because I think, and I talked about this last week on Healing Black Women, that winning in your life may look different from the way that you may originally perceive it.
Correct.
And so you have to have your mind open to what that looks like for you, and not having all these interjections of what people's opinions are. But even on that, I want to ask you, what role does having support play? Because we talk about having support a lot on our series. What role and what is the balance? Because sometimes that balance can be, people are fake supportive of you and people are really supportive of you. But what is the role that true support plays in getting back to yourself?
So we thrive off of other people. That is basically how we continue our growth. It is by being watered and being nurtured by others. So support is really important in a lot of ways. Not all of us have that family support, spousal support backing right there. But find out what you need. What kind of support? Sometimes I got to check people. Hey, I don't need this. I don't need this lecture right now, or I don't need these types of negative action. And they may not feel like they may think it's positive feedback, and you're like, nah, this is too heavy for me right now. So back to something that you said earlier about your master goal list. That's step one. It's kind of big dreams, little dreams, something accomplishable, something I may not ever accomplish, but it's okay. And then writing that out, and then gauge kind of how you feel, just like you work on learning your tolerance levels for alcohol. Know what your tolerance levels for support is. Do I need somebody there in my corner by my side all the time? Or do I need to just bounce some information off of people and get that real feedback? Or you need that, I section my friends off based off of how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling, live and ready, I got this crew right here. If I'm feeling like I want to throw a pity party and I need somebody to join in, that's over here. So you section your people off. And like you said, not everybody needs to know your master plan or your big picture, but you need to know who's rooting for you. And even haters are a really good support sometimes, because sometimes people thrive off, oh, you don't think I'm going to make it? Okay, cool. But some people, you may never need that. You're like, I can't deal with this energy. So that's kind of weeding the people out of your life and into your life that you need. If you want to position yourself in a certain place, well, then you find those types of networks and types of people, and then you position yourself to meet those friends and be around those friends so that you get that type of support. So knowing the support that you really need plays a role, because you can't force people into being who they want to be. You can't force people into treating you, but you can train people. If they want to be in your life, you can train them on how to talk to you. You can train them on how to support you. You can't just accept everything, because sometimes that part will bring you down. I can't believe they're talking to me like this. Well, maybe they're right. No, nobody is ever right before you are right. You're always right in your mind, but you have to know that for yourself. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. I don't care if you look how many stories of people with disabilities become these world famous, renowned people that did something that was unaccomplishable due to their disability, but they still were able to thrive through it. You are just like that. Your disability is self-doubt. Self-doubt kills all things. That's what I tell my kids every single day. I teach is self-doubt kills all things. If you don't believe in yourself, there's nobody in the world who is going to. So start with that. Believe in what you're going to do. Put it out there. I've told you a couple of things out there that may or may not happen one day, but I'm putting it out there as if it already happened. Karma is one thing, but so is that understanding of self. Once you put it out there, it's coming. It's going to be there one day. And like you said earlier, like you don't know when your timeline is going to happen or when things are going to happen. So know that what your wins look like, even though they're not wins, they're not big accomplishments, they're not major goals, but they're steps forward. Somebody, told me if I did something, can I go and do it now? And I'm like, no. Let me fall forward first. Let me learn on this platform before I ruin myself on some higher platform. Let me jump from the baby diving board before I jump from the big one, but I knew that about myself. And that's the same thing you have to learn. The first thing to any of this is learning who you are. And the only person that can teach you that is you. We can give guiding steps. We can be those words, but we can also be that mind frame that takes from who you are as a person. So always watch what you want people to say to you, because you're training people to talk to you. You're training people to be your support system, whether you want it what way or not. That's up to you.
I love how you're saying, because it goes into how let people know how they can support you, and don't accept the support that you don't need. You don't need gas for a year if you don't have a car.
Just
That's not support for you. For someone who has a car, that's support. But if you take the metro every day, then having a fully loaded metro card is supportive of you.
so
So you have,
that's absolutely right. And that people don't see that they don't see. They just say thank you because somebody did something nice, but you can buy me the most elaborate gift. If I'm never going to use this gift, What am I doing it for? Unfortunately, somebody bought me a vase. It was a beautiful vase. They never asked if I had a dining room table to put it on. So it's a beautiful vase that sits in a bag. Like there's no place for me to put it. But you just gotta know the people that are engaging. And that's what I'm saying. When people start offering stuff that has nothing to do with you or doesn't help you in any way, stop them, thank them, be polite about it. Use that courtesy to say, I appreciate you for trying, but it doesn't meet me where I'm at, you know?
Oh, I love that. Everybody, the polite way to say it is, I appreciate you for trying, but it does not meet me where I am at. That is beautiful. And it's honest, because how frustrating do we become because we need support from people, but they're not giving us the type of support that we need, and we're not being specific with telling people this is specifically what I need from you. Not because I had someone ask me, because I'm guilty of this. I was in a depressive episode and someone asked me, what do you need? And I was telling them how I was feeling. Da, da, da. I said, oh, I just need people to support me. They said, no, that's not what I'm asking you. What do you need? And I was like, well, I'm down and, I'm tired. And it's like, no, tell me the specific list of things that you need someone to do for you when you are in a depressive episode. And
Right.
that was how they knew how to support me. But I had to be comfortable in giving that list. Because sometimes when we need support, sometimes when you need that Metro card, you need that Metro card because you don't have the money.
Right.
And there's your shame to
Just
tell someone that you need that level of support. But if this is a support person who has come to you and has says, I'm trying to bless you with the Metro card, do you need it? How much specifically do you need? What travel do you do every day? Then you need to get off of your shameness, come out of the world of shame, and accept the pure and genuine support that people are offering you, and not feel as if someone is trying to make a mockery of who you are and your experience. Because
right.
we've all experienced that pain before from
Right.
fake supporters. Go ahead, Mo.
And that's a twofold. That's a problem within the Black community. They are very, very shameful about speaking out about their needs. And it's also kind of a shameful thing. Even though women are the more submissive ones in the world and spectrum of things, our pride leads so heavy on the we got this, and that strong Black woman era, we got this, we can do this. And not necessarily all the time. You don't all the time got it. And you have to be able to say that. And it generally comes down in a breaking point. I mean, how many women have heart attacks based off the fact that they're holding it in and they're bottled it in and I'm good. Look, a lot of women have been through heart attacks and didn't even realize it because, oh, I got this and I still have to keep pushing. Forget this pain, forget that my arm don't work. I still got to keep pushing. So we have to be able to have that breaking point. Sundays are my days to not do nothing and not feel bad about it. And you're not going to be okay the first time, but them 6 and 7 other times where you just like, I can't, you feel like you have to do so much for so many others. But you realize if you die, they have to figure out a way to do it from themselves. So start training them now so you can have those conversations. Start training them now so that they are properly placed to survive without you. The best accomplishment of a leader is to know that the people that follow them can do it on their own without the leader. If you're over leading, if you're overdoing the work, then you're not teaching anything. So that doesn't make you a great leader. When you're able to stand back and say, you got this, you good, you got this. Where can I support? Where can I jump in? Or let your people train you. If you have kids, let your kids cook for you. Let them teach you something, so that's just kind of the world around. If you don't have anybody in your life, what are you going to do? So how do you plant people to be there for you? I need somebody to call me once a week to make sure I'm not dead because I don't have kids, I don't have a partner, I don't have a spouse. So I got to find somebody I got to train to be like, wait, I'm missing. Mo ain't been here in how many days? Let me check on him. You got to train people to support you the way you need. And then you got to train people outside of you to do what you do. So that not that you're not needed, but that you've done a good job so that when you do need a support, they're there for you and able to be there for you the way you need because you've trained them to do that.
And I think that's so true. It's just that level of understanding. And Tarshell, she pointed out, especially when we're talking about, I'm going to switch a little to the mental health perspective, that it can be hard to answer, the question of what is it that you need, and it's for anyone that's watching that has a mental health condition, is um, it's better to have those answers before you have an episode, like before you're in a crisis. Have those things prepared before you're in a crisis. So when those things happen, someone automatically knows, the people that you trust automatically know how to huddle around you during those times. Because it can be difficult. It can be difficult for sure. So we talked about fear. We talked about getting to know yourself. We talked about the support. How and we talked about this a little bit so far. How is it, or how do we manage our goals when we are trying to getting to know ourselves, getting back to who we are? Because sometimes when we look at that goal list, that's when we tend to become small and start to feel small. Because by now we should have had done. We should have done. So how do we make that balance to where when we're getting back to ourselves, we're not getting caught up in that negative self-talk of not, being who we think we should be.
So this goes into a little more of my workshops, but I would always say do a goal list and write in colors. Get yourself some colored pencil, get yourself a notebook, and really go into your big goals, your accomplishable goals. So don't put dates or timelines. I write me a new goal list every year for my birthday. That's the first thing I do on my birthday is wake up, write my whole year out goal list. And whatever didn't happen that last year, I just move it over to this year's goal list. And there's been some things that's been on that list for about 5-10 years. It's cool. It's just going to go over the next year. I'm going to get it done, because that's still my goal list. So you do get small, but you have to think big in the fact that you are taking the steps. So see it as you didn't accomplish this thing, but you did take that step towards, if you want to be a psychologist, you may not have gotten your license, but you did take that certification class. You did, apply. You did start taking something. Like whatever step you took, commend yourself on that. I used to buy myself a gift for every one goal I accomplished, and I got into buying myself too many things. But I did also say I still need to be rewarded and commended for the fact that I tried. So trying is your first step to accomplishing it at any time. So know that you don't give up or you don't say that I failed because I didn't accomplish it by whatever deadline, but do say that you did take those steps in managing your goals by going towards it. So falling forward. No, I didn't accomplish it, but yes, I did go towards it. And that's big enough. That's a bigger win. We're only human. Our superpowers are limited. And what we need to be strong enough to say is, I couldn't do it all, whether it be financially or some other factor that got in the way. I couldn't do it all, but I tried, and be proud of yourself for trying, because there are so many people who aren't, and then not to compare yourself to anybody else, but to know that you're doing more than you've ever done before. Let's stay focused on yourself. You're doing more than you've ever done before by taking whatever step forward, to even acknowledging that, to even watching this podcast, to even trying to work to being better. You're doing more than you did last year, years before that, when you weren't even thinking about you. So be proud of that And always reward yourself. Always give yourself a high five or a hands up to whatever your next step is, because you're your biggest supporter. And then those people will rally around you and say, you know what, you're doing a good job, or they'll start to see the difference. You know, when you're on a workout plan, you don't ever see the weight drop, but the first thing people see is, hey, you lost a little weight in your face, you lost a little weight in your body. You're like, no, I'm bigger. But that may not be the case. You're just not seeing it from the outside world perspective. So just know that once you start rewarding yourself, those other things will be seen amongst the world.
I think you hit some jewels there. Is that I think a lot of times when we're doing things, is like we don't look at the fact that when we try, we're still moving. And I think that we get so caught up at the finish line that we, like you said, like we don't acknowledge that trying is still that step beyond the starting. Because the year before you didn't do that. You didn't have that mindset. You weren't thinking about that. I just knew myself. I had made the beginning of last year when I was in an episode, and I got to July. I said the second half of this year is going to be completely different. And I wrote out a list. I said, I'm going to do this, 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 this. And on that long list of stuff, there were two things, major things that I accomplished. I got my certification as a life coach, and I became a Reiki practitioner. The other things on the list, they didn't all get they didn't all get done. And they got and I became a contributing writer with a website. But the other things on the list, those things were falling aside, and I got to myself and I said, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. This isn't coming together. This should have been done. And, but I had to stop and say, you know what? I did more the second half of this year than I accomplished the first half. And so I deserve to give myself a pat on the back and say, congratulations.
All right.
And we don't congratulate ourselves for when we step out and we start researching programs, because before they were just conversations. Like you said, it's like it was just something, floating around. But when you're actively doing things, and Tarsha B said, just setting goals is doing more than most. And that's true. Giving yourself targets that you can hit. And at least, and this is one thing. This is one thing about a goal list. Even if you don't meet everything on that list, at least you know where you are. You have a roadmap and you know where you are on that map. Sure. And so you're not lost because you didn't hit every single target. There's things this year that I'm doing that were not on the list last year. I don't consider myself lost. It was things change, and sometimes things naturally progress into a direction that you need to be. And what's on your list isn't always where you should be. And your goal list should be breathing. It should be changing sometimes because life changes things. And
at least you're not going backwards in the whole thing.
That's true. You're not going backwards. And I think that step, that trying, is it because these days people want to sweep trying under the rug like it's not worthy of any sort of praise.
Yeah, and the thing is, falling forward is a real thing. Not going backwards, but trying is what everybody has to do to accomplish. Nobody just wakes up and accomplishes. You have to try. You have to fail. People sweep failing under the rug. You failed at something you tried at. If you never failed, then you never tried. So it's disappointing on your end, but it's an accomplishment on others. It's an accomplishment saying that you've done something where you, like you said, it was a conversation before and it was an action now. actions mean something because it stimulates something that takes you someplace. And like you said, with the roadmap, at least you're going forward towards your goal. You didn't get there, you didn't make it, you might have went some other different way, but you didn't go backwards and you didn't go where you were. And as long as you keep checking that goal map and looking back at it, you still know that you have someplace to be. Those people lost and wandering in the world and I don't know and I'm not sure, it's because they never set a place where they could be sure at. And then they're at the point where they don't even have an idea anymore of what they liked, what they want to be, or where they want to go. That's disappointing in and of yourself, that you don't even have a plan for your future. You just let the world figure it out for you. You don't want that life. So making that goal and setting that kind of, you know, and everybody's goal is not to be an entrepreneur. Some people are really good workers. I mean, we can't own businesses without people working for us, you know? So you got to continue saying what you're good at. You know, I came to the realization the other day, I'm a really good personal assistant. If I got to land, because if you're flying, you can fly high, you can shoot for the stars, you can have a rocket ship, or you can have a little helicopter that's just kind of buzzing around, or you can land somewhere. And if I have to land, then let my land be happy. If my fly is good, then let my fly be a good flight. You know, I always tell people I'm going to die doing something stupid, but I'm going to be enjoying it when I do it, you know? And if that's not the case, then I can't die. So you just got to know where your goals are. My goal is to never die unless it's doing something stupid that I enjoy. That's not everybody's goal, but it leads to something. It leads to a never-ending flight. And if I land, I want to land happy. But if you don't know what your happiness is, you don't ever know where to land. And that's a problem in and of yourself.
So, and I think just to start to close us off, because it's getting closer to the 9 o'clock hour, if you could give someone at least 3 takeaways in this journey to finding and getting back to themselves, what would be the 3 strongest takeaways that you would give them so that they can be on the right path?
My 3 takeaways would be focus on you and what you want to do. Take your small steps every day to be those things. And even if you can't figure it out, take small steps in trying. You know, taste something that you've never had before. Try something you never did before, or something you've said no or never to. And then really remind yourself what's comfortable and what's not. Do a lot of breathing and feeling exercise where you tune into who you are and know, is this conversation comfortable? Is being in this space comfortable? Really start making sure that you're happy where you are so that you don't have to be in any unsettling environments. Because the step 1 is taking care of self. And to get back to self is to, 1, take care of self.
Awesome. Always coming back to that self-care that we promote with every live stream that we have. So Mo, we are going to thank you for joining us this evening. Could you tell everyone how they can find and connect with you?
Yep. It's MoLove Made It at all social media, MoLoveMadeIt, all social media, or you can check out my website, molovemadeit.biz. But once you see that yellow emblem, like this right there, once you see that yellow emblem, that's me, all places. So hit me up, get in contact, let's talk.
All right, Mo, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight on the live chat. We are going to again have our next live stream on the 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to follow MoLove and MoLove Made It on all social media channels. And also be sure to follow Healing Black Women, a platform with me and an extraordinary group of women where we focus on wellness on all aspects. And also, thanks, Tarshell. And also be sure that you can find me at Laqwanda's Heart on Instagram. That's LAQWANDAS in the word heart, HEART. Yes, I know how to spell heart.
Right.
So thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time, you have a blessed week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.